Okay, it is now 4:02 p.m. We'll call the August 18th meeting of the Wolfeboro Police Commission to order and invite everybody here to stand and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this point, I will entertain a motion on the minutes from our July 21st, 2022 meeting.
I would move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Coop. Motion made by Commissioner O'Brien. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Captain Livy will be standing in for Chief Rondo, who is on vacation currently. And he'll be providing us with the monthly reports. So, Captain, if you would begin, please.
Yeah. So we'll start with the incident cases year to date. For the month of July, as you see, it's decreased of 36.066%,
Yeah.
which is a pretty good amount. It's a pretty good decrease from June, which was 61.
Especially in the summertime.
Yeah, and usually July is our busiest, one of our busiest months of the year. So we had 58 offenses for the month of July, and then you'll see the backup data that's behind it. The arrest year to date, that has also decreased. If you have the incidence decrease, there's a good chance you have the arrest decrease of 17.241%. From the month of June, it was 29, and the month of July is 24. So, and then you'll see all the backup that he printed out for you guys of all the arrests for the month of July. Any questions on that? So far? Good.
No.
Our traffic stops year to date. The month of July, we had a little decrease of 5.976% to 236 from the month of June, which was 251. It's showing 28 tickets that have been given out, which is 11.86% chance of getting a ticket. And a lot of those
a big
that's high.
yeah, but a lot of those are coming from your highway safety grants and pedestrian
Oh,
crosswalks that are downtown. Because there are quite a few, as he has read in the past, vehicles that are down there not registered, not inspected, and parking on town property. So those will come up in this thing.
So what would you attribute this downturn in July? I mean, usually in the summertime with increased traffic, everything, you know, you would have increased traffic enforcement, you would have increased an increased caseload, whether it be, you know, the incidents or the arrests. Everything's gone down. It's very unusual considering that
Very unusual.
the numbers are really high this
Yeah.
year. We have more people in town, I think, than we have.
Yeah, and the traffic's still there.
The
It's not
traffic's
like
crazy.
it's not there,
Yeah,
and the
a lot
people
of
are
traffic.
downtown, just behaving. I mean, that's a
that's
big,
good.
yeah, it's a good thing. So, I don't have a great answer for you.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
because the town's busy, I can see it, I'm down there, and around, so everyone's around. I mean, the traffic's all there. It's just, I mean, if you even look at the collisions that I'll have next.
Wow.
Yeah.
The collisions.
Almost
Yeah, they're down
50%.
8.
Yeah, they're down to 10 from 18 in the month of June. That's a 44.44% decrease.
That's crazy.
So, all in all, the month of July has been quiet compared to years past, which is shocking.
The call volume's gone up.
Yeah, the call volume has
Calls for
gone up.
service.
So, I mean, it could be that could be a big factor. The officers are catching up on follow-ups and investigations too. We do have a lot of vacations, so there's less. I'm not saying there's less officers out there because the overtime's up, if you look at that, but.
Oh, the coverage is there.
Yeah, the coverage is there, but they're following up on their cases too. So, the next slide is the personal analysis report. So he did the whole year up to the 31st of July. As you'll see, the incidents are 349, but the accidents are up 93. It's just July is down. If you look at last year's, I believe at this point I looked it up, we were 65. And the accidents of 93 right now. So it's just that month of July has gone down, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But our incidents are up. I mean, they're up to 349. Our arrests are at 190. And I mean, the big factor there is your school, where Mary is, as you'll see she's at 83 this year. And I get it, this is the month of July, which she's not in the school, so some things she's getting, you know,
Right.
back on patrol.
That's quite a few arrests there.
Yeah, 109.
And also with Shanks.
Yeah, yeah, Officer Shank has, yeah, you can see his production is very,
Yeah.
very good. He's out and about, he's getting things, I mean, his traffic stops, I think his traffic stops were really up there, 440, which we really don't have too many people that are close.
Yeah.
I think Peasley is closest
That's,
with 196.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot of stops.
Captain, the slide isn't the right one. He must have had an older one.
Oh,
in the
yeah, he must
slide
have
deck.
an older slide.
So if you're confused, Bernie, on what they're talking about for numbers, it's because that's the incorrect
Oh,
slide in the
Yeah,
slide deck.
he put out the June, only June.
So
This
we'll
is
have
correct
that,
here.
we'll have the correct one
Yeah.
online in our minutes.
So, the accidents by streets named, 10, as you'll see, most of them are South Main Street, Center Street, Forest Road, that's a new one. Governor Wentworth Highway and Wamback Road is one. So you got 2 new streets that are popping up.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have printed that out to see what it actually was down there. So that is everything on accidents, streets. I think he was good
Do
there.
we have anything from the detective, or?
No, so I can read some of his chief's items.
Okay.
I cut it down a little bit, but
Thank you.
yeah. But it does mention that there is no detective. He took the most of the month of July off, so there isn't much of a report for him, and there's no SRO report.
Right.
So I'll get into his chief reports. So this is coming from Chief Rondo. There will be an end of the year quarter budget, third quarter review after the chief's presentation in September. That's when he'll be back in the commissioners meeting. Right now, we're doing just okay with the police dispatch budget. We are projecting for a within the bottom line ending to both budgets, but it will be close. Gas and oil are still running hot and are projected to be between $5,000 to $10,000 over budget due to the low forecast. So the last that was emailed to you for July, it's still $4.10. So if you do the projection of what we've been doing, the average, and shoot it out for the rest of the year, it looks like we're going to be just about $10,000 over in that line.
Okay.
So that's where he's getting that. This is with the police department's gas restriction plan. Had we not done that, we would be well over probably 15 to 20,000 in that ballpark if we could do that restriction plan. So additionally, we have started construction of the fiscal year 23 budget. Sherry's got most of it added into there. So we're doing pretty good at that. We should be fine. Is that next week it's due?
It's due the 1st of September.
1st of September. So we should have that in there and given it to you guys for review beforehand. So we got to get a date on that.
Yeah, we usually meet, and there's usually our liaison from the budget committee and
Yeah.
from the board of selectmen on that meeting.
So we only have 2 more weeks, so
Yeah.
we got to squeeze that in there.
Okay.
Officer Aiden Stedman is on duty and at the police academy, so he's in his 3rd week, going into his 3rd week. All is going well.
Wait a minute, I thought Chris was in the academy
Chris is going in January.
in January. Okay, I had him backwards. I thought Aiden was doing FTO.
So Chris, which is the next line, but he comes on actually on
Oh,
the
that's right.
29th of August. So he comes on full time. And then he'll go into the academy in January 1st, or January 2nd, really. So he can come on full time due to the fact he's got the part-time certification,
Right.
so he can be by himself. So it actually helps us.
Good.
Yeah. Because most likely, new people that come on without a certification, they gotta be with somebody. They can't be alone. So training for this month, the police, Corporal Shanks finished his 2nd class of the advanced crash investigation. He goes to his 3rd class next month? September, and then he finishes the whole 3 classes for it. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Maybe
right
3
there.
people now?
It's the
Guy.
chief, Staff Sergeant Maloney,
Yeah.
who will be Corporal Shanks, and Investigator Warrens. So we technically have 4
Yeah.
people, and more the merrier. Both chief and the staff sergeant taught at the academy last month. SRO Devine and Corporal Boucher did the school safety summit. Officer Peasley had 2 SWAT training. In dispatch, which is actually animal control, Heather Galandes did a week-long training at the UNH, which it was more geared towards animal control, so stuff like that. So that's an every year training that will come up, which I think is cheap. They do deviate every year from the training, so it isn't the same thing. But she said it was a good training. In operations, in terms of police investigation, prosecutions, and operations, the month of July was slow with only 12 defendants. Our prosecutor continues to work through the extraordinary cases of load created by the courts in terms of their response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The court schedule ran from 6 July through 20 July with time off for the judges during the summer. So as I mentioned before, the detective and SRO do not have reports this week, as the detective was off most of this month, just on vacation. Prosecution, the month of July, as we mentioned, 12 defendants responded to 12 charges. Of those 12 charges, 5 were pled out to found guilty, 5 were pled out to trial, and 6 charges were placed on file pending good behavior. Restitution classes or counseling as part of their agreement. 1 remaining charge was no pros due to the death of the offender in Massachusetts. The conviction rate this past month is 100%. Well, he's got 91.67%, with $2,232 in fines, restitution, penalties met out by the courts. Now, the town of Wolfeboro doesn't see any of that, so that goes out to the state and to the courts on any of those restitutions. Safety and security matters. July proved to be a busy month for traffic. However, the good news is that they were down by 44.4% for traffic crashes, which is great. We are still realizing a significant increase in traffic volumes because of the variety of reasons, as briefed in previous meetings. I suspect the traffic to our town will continue to be heavy all season long, so please plan for this in advance and leaving early for destination. Excuse me. So the school starts, if we're talking about traffic, the school starts their step-up day, which is next Thursday, September 1st, which is the Thursday. So they got a half a day for your freshman 7th grade. So you'll see some traffic coming into school then. And on September 6th is the first day of school. So plan ahead if you're heading to work going south, because all that traffic is coming back on South Main Street.
Something in the air here.
Additionally, I believe our population density has increased significantly over the last year. I am focused, with Chief, focusing that it will continue to increase for the next 3 to 5 years as folks continue to escape our major population centers and move to less dense populated areas of our country. Dispatch. Dispatch continues to work hard, and we will soon be gearing up for our fall months. We stand ready for our spots inspection and state wishes to unleash on us, which usually happens in... Oh, it doesn't happen in
No,
December?
I don't know when it happens. I don't know what month it happens.
Yeah, I know they come up once, but not. It all depends on the state and their employees and what they have to come up and do it. Motor vehicle enforcement. In an effort to mitigate the traffic crashes, we realize monthly we will be continuing a strong proactive approach to motor vehicle enforcement. This can be seen in our monthly briefing slides. We will be conducting aggressive speed reduction patrols all through town. So please, if you are in the habit of speeding, don't. Lastly, we continue to deploy assets patrols to our identified problem areas, which you'll see mostly on South Main Street, North Main Street, Center Street. Those are your major areas of concern with the traffic, especially leaving the downtown area. A matter of note, we are still seeing significant number of vehicles with overdue registration and inspection stickers. Our highway safety patrols are now out in force, and you are running at a great peril to yourself or family members if you allow improper registration or inspection vehicles to operate on our ways. So what happens if you're even parked in our town, on the downtown, in the parking lots or in just a space in the downtown area, you can get a town ordinance violation of citation for not having an inspection, registration, so you don't have to be in your car. When you come back to your car, you will see a parking citation on your vehicle. So that's all I got
Okay.
for the chief's notes that he has this month.
All right. Under commission items, our next meeting will be September 15th, and that's going to be held at our 4 p.m. start time at the Wolfeboro Town Hall, in the Great Hall upstairs where we all vote. And that's going to be a discussion about school safety, a forum on school safety, which will be attended by the superintendent's office as well as all of us. And we do encourage and welcome the public to join us for their input and everything. So that's very important to note. Again, that's September 15th at Town Hall upstairs for a safety forum that's school-related. Given the climate in this country now with the school shootings and such, we deemed it necessary to start taking a more proactive approach. Small little towns like ours aren't exempt from problems like this, and if you look at across the country where they've happened, they're usually in a smaller area. They're not in a big metropolitan area that these events occur. So I think this will be a good, should be a good meeting to get all the input, concerns of our public, as well as professionals from both the school and law enforcement, and try to hammer out a plan that we can put in place moving forward to keep our teachers and administrators and students safe in town here. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was there's been some people that have gone into town hall recently that have questioned as to why there's an absence of police presence downtown this summer. And there's several reasons for that. The short answer is we're down 2 officers currently. One, of course, you just heard is in the academy. That is a brand new officer that we just hired, so he's got a 16-week academy, and that's going to be followed by a 12 to 16-week field training program, depending on how quickly he completes that. I expect that he'll probably be on the 12 weekend because he's a pretty sharp individual. But that being said, we're looking at probably the balance of the year of being short-staffed by at least 1. The other officer who's coming on that you heard about is currently a certified part-timer. He can start at the end of the month, but then he'll be going into the academy because even though he's completed the part-time academy, he's still bound to complete the full-time academy. Fortunately, after his 16-week academy, he'll be able to hit the streets again like he will in August because he's already been working alone. He's qualified and very capable young man, and very lucky to have him. So we're doing the best that we can. The other thing that we want you to understand is it's not that there's a lack of desire or willingness to try to meet all of the demands of the public, but the department, as you heard earlier, we're trying to manage a gas issue, if you will, that's not just within our town, but probably all across the country. You know, we get our gas number, if you will, during the budget prep. And that number was imported for all of the towns for gasoline only. Was imported into all the budgets within the town that operate gas vehicles. That number happened to be low, or is low now, because of where gas prices are, about like $1.50 a gallon, which is substantial. And we are the largest volume user of gasoline in the town of Wolfeboro. So the chief, by law, cannot overspend the bottom line of the budget. So when we're seeing hits like this, and I don't mean that in a negative way, it's something we can't avoid, but when we see a hit like this, it has to be mitigated by robbing Peter to pay Paul, so that we may have to take stuff from other lines to try to help pay for the gasoline by the end of the year. And as the captain said, we expect that we're going to be down at least $10,000. And that's a tribute to both the chief and captain, because early they put in place a 5-step plan to keep gas usage down while still keeping patrols effective. Step 5, sadly, is that the police department would be forced to take a reactive approach, and cruisers would be parked there waiting for the next call, rather than being out patrolling the streets and being proactive and trying to keep the community safe and so forth. But the biggest question, I guess, that's come up as of late is a lack of presence in the downtown area. And there is a very, very strong attempt to have individuals in the downtown area. If anybody was in town this last Friday when they did the 150th anniversary of the Mount Washington, I happened to go on the boat with my wife for that. And when we went to get on the boat, there was hardly anybody down at the docks, considering all that had been planned. And I was a little disappointed. I thought we could do better, but it was still early too. When we got off the boat, there had to be at least 1,000 people or more down at dockside. There was a DJ playing music, an incredible light show that was supposed to last 20 minutes. If the guy was nice and he ran it for like an hour, the mount stayed there the entire time so the people could enjoy it. And we did have 2 officers that were there because it was quiet at that point when we came back in. They were there in the area, which was good because we had a large volume of people. We try to have people, and I say we're talking the department, but they try to have people downtown all of the time, especially during the summer months. But staffing, and then as we've talked about earlier, call volume is up significantly this year. So there's a lot of things that come into play. Right now we're managing overtime, which is, it's over that line as well. And overtime goes to a lot of things, but one of the biggest things that we've seen overtime go toward in recent years is shift coverage. So if we have people on vacation, or in this case we're down 2 officers, and now they're in the academy or they're coming on board and will be going to the academy, that entire time they're gone and the entire time they're on their FTO program, should they need one, that shift has to be filled by somebody else. Because on the FTO program, they're with a senior officer that's teaching them the Wolfeboro way of doing things, so to speak, in addition to what they learn about state laws through the academy. So moving forward, you know, we are very desirous of having a bigger police presence. It's difficult. Please understand that the staff is out there, they are working, they are doing their job, but as much as it's nice to have people walking around downtown and patrolling and interacting with the public, because the calls for service are up, they often get called away and can't be down there. And like every other police department and pretty much any town agency, there's a finite amount of employees within that department, and as there is ours, and so we can only draw from the resources that we have. And at the end of the day, it comes down to dollars and cents and how to best manage the budget to stay within the budget guidelines, stay within the bottom line, while trying to keep everybody happy, which we know is not completely possible, but we do our best. So, did you have anything
I
about
was
that?
just going to say, it helps though that the number of incidents are down.
Yeah, absolutely.
That the attention to detail for arrests and investigations is up. And so we're not missing service.
Correct.
I just need to see the cars.
Yeah,
The other thing that I just wanted to mention or ask Captain is, we know that Mary, Officer Devine, is inundated at the high school. There's so much stuff going on at the high school right now that she doesn't have a lot of time to get to the middle school, and we also know there's a lot of stuff going on there. And we've been talking about an additional RSO. Has anybody approached the district about?
we had a great conversation with the superintendent.
Yeah.
In our meeting last time, so the conversation has been there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're agreeable to it, or?
I think it's a work in progress.
Okay.
So it's something to talk about and move forward with. I think everything, I mean, with the amount of calls that she's getting, unfortunately, I mean, if you look at it, I think it was 50 cases or 55 cases in that first half of school.
That's
or
a
a little
lot.
bit more than that, because she's at 80, so it was probably a little bit more than that. I'm just trying to remember. It puts her into a reactive up there. I mean, she can't get into the classrooms. She can't get into
The middle school.
well, a lot of it's coming from the middle school,
is it?
so
Well,
she's
that's
missing
the
out.
worst.
Yeah, she's missing out. Unfortunately, a lot of those cases are coming from the middle school, so she's not in the high school as much as
Okay.
she should be. But it is coming from that middle school this year. So, and a lot of that middle school now is probably gonna be freshmen, so we'll see how that goes and what the new class comes up.
And, you know, and I think too, with, you know, if we could get at least 2 SROs on that complex, that would, you know, if there's a little bit of downtime at some
It
point.
just, what
they
it
can do-
does, it allows, think about it, she gets vacation time. So when she's on vacation, or sick, or training, there's nobody up there. So we have to pull somebody from the patrol to go up there
Right, or we
and
don't get
do,
reimbursed.
walkthroughs to make a presence up there. So that's how we handle it right now. So if you had to, it offsets those. And that's a large campus. Then you can get into the Crescent Lake, into Carpenter School, because they want to see an officer
Sure.
walk in those hallways too. So, because I met with there's a new principal at the Carpenter School.
Mhm.
Excuse me for my knowing the name again.
No, she's great,
I just,
from what I'm hearing, yeah.
Yeah, I just met her, and we were talking which always comes up in conversation, is how to do drop-offs up at Carpenter School, which is always, because there's so many cars, there's probably 95 cars that come in there.
Mm.
So they're working on, we worked on a few things to talk about a new pathway around to the back, because I believe the playground has to move because it's not up to code, and that could be coming down. So they're going to make a basically similar to Crescent Lake, where they go around the school,
Mhm.
where they can get all the cars into the back.
Okay.
And they're looking at buses coming back into the front of that school, where they walk up there. They walk up to the front and walk around that horseshoe. And actually, the bus is coming up and in. So that could be a possibility. They're working with the state and the town with that. But they only have about 4 or 5 buses right now at Carpenter School. So, but that's, yeah, I did meet with her. I met with her and Mary, because Mary's still helping her move in.
It would be ideal to have a backup person who can work close to the two of them together
Correct.
to deal with stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
It would be nice. And then Crescent Lake, you've got Mr. Beaverstock down there. It would be nice to be
Yeah.
more present in those schools too, and moving around.
You know, and the other thing, and we were talking about coverage downtown, especially in the summer months. You know, SRO Divine is back out on patrol when school's closed for the summer, so we do have an additional officer that becomes available. And if
She's
we have,
filling one of those spots.
right, and if we have another SRO, then
Yep.
there's 2 additional people during the summer months that would definitely bring relief.
Yeah.
You know, we're on the hook to pay that part of their salary, but, you know,
Yeah.
the school is taking care of a good portion of it.
But it would help your bike patrol and all
Oh,
that stuff.
absolutely.
That's where it really comes in handy. So,
Yeah, it's sad that we don't have people out on the bike this year,
Yeah.
you know, after we did it last year, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Bob, did you have anything else at all?
no.
Okay, Sean?
You have a
did
question, I'll
anything
add
that
you
you wanted? Okay. We are at public input. Public input is limited to 5 minutes per person, not to exceed more than 15 minutes in total. We will not be having a non-public session today, so we will not be entering non-public at the close of this meeting. Do we have anything from the public? Any public members that would like to speak? Bernie's a regular visitor at our meetings. Your name, ma'am?
Kate,
Okay. If you could stand up and identify yourself for the record, and then you have 5 minutes to
If
speak.
you speak into the microphone, it would be helpful.
Yep. He'll,
okay.
it's okay.
So my name is Kate, and I'm a resident here in Wolfeboro. There's been some issues within the Wolfeboro Police Department that we wanted to bring to the commissioner's attention. Some emails have been sent over, I know to yourself, Commissioner Wood. However, there's just still been kind of some things that really haven't been resolved. We did go last night to the town selectmen's meeting, and they said to come here. Long story short, we've been residents here for a few years, almost 4 years in town, and there's been many times that we've been told that they do not release dispatch logs or 921A requests. Anyways, long story short, we were told in June, I don't know the exact date, I could get it for you, by dispatcher supervisor Mia Lyons, that they've never released dispatch logs, which I find very ironic. That's literally against the law. When she was told this and brought this to the attention, she continued to say no. My husband had called County Attorney Michaela Andruzzi, and she had to call the police department and tell them that they did have to comply and do dispatch logs as well as the 91A requests. So we had gotten we've gotten a couple of the 91A requests. However, one of the most recent issues that we had was we had filed a 91A request, and it was lengthy. It was over a period of time just because they had been denied all along. So we put in a lengthier one, and it was kind of scoffed at and kept being referred to by the chief as well as Mia as a research project, which I felt was kind of inappropriate. However, then when I had reached out, it was actually to Captain Mark Libby on July 14th. He wasn't the one in charge of the dispatch logs, it's Mia Lyons. He literally goes, I have no idea where it could have gone, and so he was working with me at that point to make sure that it was done. So for a month straight, a solid month straight, this was gone. I provided proof to Mark through text to investigator Chris Warren to show that we did in fact file for 91A a month prior, and nobody had done anything with that, or I should say the supervisor, Mia Lyons, hadn't done anything with that. Let me see. We were told that 91A request was going to be done on August 12th, and then I believe, and I could get you the exact date if you guys do need, I believe it was on the 11th, the night before. We were told the 12th actually that deadline wasn't going to happen. We found out on August 16th that it was done, and Mia Lyons, I guess, felt it necessary to call me over the phone and tell me it was around 500 pages. I was told, and I have an email saying this, that I was going to be charged $5 for the first page, $1 every page after that, which that's literally against the law. You cannot charge a flat fee.
Right.
You're not even allowed to charge for a 91A request unless, if anything, just the photocopies, which was brought up last night. Photocopies here cost 15 cents for black and white. They tried to charge me $1,140 for that 91A request. I was told that over the phone by Mia Lyons. I asked her to put that in email. She literally vehemently refused. I asked her to speak to whoever gave her that information. She said was the chief. She put me on hold for almost 14 minutes. This is all on a recording. She kept telling me it was on recording, just get the call log. She wasn't putting anything in email. I put the call on hold, called back in. She answered again, kind of laughing, and goes, oh, well, the chief isn't here. And then somebody else told me that he was on vacation that day. So I don't know what the purpose was of any of that. I asked her to put in email that it was $1,140, and I told her if it was around 500 pages times 15 cents a piece, I could literally go to the library and it would cost me $75. So that was on August 16th. After that, she told me that she wasn't putting anything in email. She sent an email on the 17th that morning. I emailed her back for 2 days. She finally emailed back today. For 2 days, it was just radio silence. I also have an email from the Chief of Police, Dean, on August 3rd at 4:10 p.m. And he's admitting in the email, he goes, although it was something along the lines of, however, he did say it was initially denied, but it was something along the lines of saying that even though our 91A request was initially denied, ultimately in the end it was granted. How I kind of put it, paraphrasing, if somebody robs a bank and then they stop robbing a bank, that doesn't mean they didn't commit a crime. That's still a crime. And all because it's law enforcement, I feel as though crimes are most certainly being committed. According to the New Hampshire Municipal, you cannot charge for 91As, which they're continuing to still try to do. According to law, this is a liability, which can result in penalties, as well as if it's being done under bad faith, the person doing it can most certainly be held accountable. I brought that up to Mia Lyons' attention, as well as Chief Dean Rondo's, and it just seems to go on deaf ears. I said on the conversation on August 16th, which I did file a 91A for, so I have that information. I did tell Mia Lyons, and I pulled it up right there in front of me, the 91A law, saying that she told me I could come in and inspect my records, she could mail them to me, or I could come in and pay the $1,140 for them and leave with them. And I told her no, I was going to go there and I'd take pictures of them. She told me she was absolutely not allowing me to do that. She refused me, it must have been about 5 to 7 times, said the chief would not allow it and she would not allow it. I read her the law that it specifically said I can take photographs. It specifically says photographs in the line. She said no, she absolutely was not allowing it, and neither was the chief. So how Chief Dean Rondo and Supervisor Mia Lyons are running 91As, charging people fraudulently for them, not doing them, and then sitting there and saying you can't take photographs or anything, that's absolutely against the law. And I feel as though it's most certainly done in bad faith. I wanted to bring it to you guys' attention so that it can be addressed from the top all the way down. When I feel as though one is filed, it should be being handled appropriately. I shouldn't need to go to the captain and have the captain pull up slack in the work from the chief and Mia Lyons to get something done when he has so many other job duties and everything. That was really basically it, but I'd like people informed about 91As. You can photograph, you don't get charged, there is no flat fee or anything about that, because this has been long and ongoing, and in all the years we've lived here, we've been denied many, many times.
Obviously, we can't get into any specifics with any background with your cases or anything like that, but as far as 91A is concerned, I do know I spoke with the chief this morning, and the audio that you've requested, I know that's forthcoming. They're working on that currently. Should be done here within a few days, I think. You're correct too about not being charged for it. So there's definitely some misunderstandings, if you will, of 91A that need to be corrected. I do know we've had 91A training within the last year, but I also know that there's going to be more comprehensive training coming in. The date's not been set yet, but there is comprehensive training coming in from the state in the near future. The date hasn't been formalized yet, because I'd like to go to it too and just get refreshed, if you will, on all that stuff. But I hear your concerns, and we will definitely look into this. We'll try to find out what the root cause was. I know originally, and I'm not going to make any excuses for anybody, I think in the beginning it may have been believed that police logs and recording lines and things like this are not releasable, but they could print off those logs and redact information that can't be released publicly, but they can release stuff pertinent to you.
Yeah. Well, if you need any proofs, Commissioner, we most certainly have an abundance of proof, but it just feels like a lot of times there's a lack of transparency. On July 2nd and July 3rd, I called into Dispatcher Savage and I asked for your contact information, as there were some ongoing things. I'm not going to say the person's name. I don't feel as though that's appropriate here in a public forum, but I was told I couldn't get any contact information for yourself on July 2nd. I left my information. Dispatcher Savage said he would get it and I'd get a call back. I called in the next day, about 25 to 26 hours later, on July 3rd, and I was told, oh, he got the information, I'll just give it again, like just very passive. And then the same thing, Timothy Morgan, the prosecutor at the Wolfeboro Police Station, people have personally given him messages, and 2 messages have been left to him directly by myself or my husband. And we've still not gotten an email, we still haven't gotten a phone call, we've gotten nothing, and this has been going on for 3 months.
Okay.
So it's beyond frustrating. We feel as though our hands are literally tied. It just feels like there's no transparency, and then it's just the weight game. So I definitely wanted to bring this to
I
you
will
guys'
tell you that I
attention.
did get an email from Dispatcher Savage that you had called and wanted a call back. Unfortunately, that week I was away up in Warren, New Hampshire on vacation. And I don't know if you're familiar with the town of Warren at all, but there's zero connectivity in that town. There's no cell service, there's no Wi-Fi, there's nothing. And which is very problematic when you're trying to communicate with the police department or with family or anything like that. Quite frankly, I'll never go back there again. But I apologize for that. But getting out texts or anything was problematic. We just couldn't.
Yeah.
It was.
I understand.
But we will look into this. You have our word on that, and get you some answers. And we, like I said, 91A. We've been trained in that in the past. There'll be more, direct training on that very soon. Not as a result of this, but just in general. It's something I think all law enforcement agencies need to stay on top of. And there is and I'm not accusing you of this or even suggesting, but just for the sake of public understanding as a whole, I think a lot of people think that when they file a 91A request, they get the results back in 5 days. All that we're bound to do is to respond to you in 5 days and say,
Yes.
we're going to work on it. Now, the intent is to be timely in gathering whatever you're looking for, and I don't mean you specifically, anybody. But sometimes, depending upon the workload of the department, things like this, it can take time.
Yes.
I know that there's been voluminous requests made to the school district. I mean, where they've had banker's boxes full of paperwork that they've produced for people, which I'm sure never got read, but, you know, they requested it. In your case, admittedly, you said you've requested a lot of information. It takes time to gather. I think my understanding is it goes back to 2018, is that correct?
Yes, yep, and that one was, and
Yeah.
again, the reason for that, I have gotten a couple filled throughout, but just because of the nature of who my neighbor was in the past and personal reasons, I just wanted everything because where I was denied so many times before, so I just wanted the whole set of things. And like I said, it went missing for a month. After that, I spoke to Captain Mark Libby directly, and he did. He even said, just every 5 days, we kind of check in, let you know where it's at. So I understand that, and I understand it doesn't mean it needs to be filled within 5 days. It's, you have to reach out and say where, you know, it's going to be at, that type of thing.
Okay. Well, again, please be assured we'll look into this and try to get some answers as to why things fell through the cracks or were not answered promptly. I think originally with the audio and with the dispatch logs, because of the sensitivity, you know, there's a big push, for example, right now with body-worn cameras.
Yes.
And people think, well, that's going to be great for everybody, which I agree with. It's going to be great because they can protect police departments from being falsely accused. They can also protect you from being victimized by police. You know, so it works both ways, but there has to be somebody reviewing all that information
Yes.
before it goes to court to make sure there's no sensitive information that's not even pertinent to that particular incident going out into the general public or into the courts, which will, you know, in an open court, it's going to come out in public. And so we certainly don't want that to happen. It's you know, so, you know, we want to make sure that we're being timely and as efficient as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
And getting the requests that, and again, I think there was just a misunderstanding about the releasability of audio and dispatch logs because of all of the information that I mean, those are very comprehensive recorded lines, as well as the dispatch logs contain all kinds of personal information. So things have to be redacted accordingly, but it doesn't mean you're not entitled to the information that you're seeking.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
Just one question, it's Kate, right?
Yeah.
And can you, so what's the status now of all your requests?
So where it's at, you know, I guess I don't know 100%. They said that it was being mailed after I said that I'd like to go pick it up. So they just said that they were putting it in the mail, and I believe there was an email saying that they were looking into the recording for it. That's kind of where it's at with the 91A request.
did you?
So there's a packet for you. It did get mailed, but there is a packet for you, the same.
It said it was delivered
the
at
same-
2:05.
Yeah, so.
So that packet was delivered to your 205, or to your mailing address?
To your address. But there is another, the same packet sitting in dispatch. I think Chief sent you an email today. And that audio recording that you asked regarding your conversation with Supervisor Lyons is ready.
Oh, and that was one of my questions. Are they going to try to charge me the $1,140?
No.
Okay, because I asked
Absolutely
Mia
not.
that and she went radio silent, so I,
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, you can pick it up right now.
okay.
Yep.
It's-
Well, I
it's right
appreciate
over
that.
there.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you guys or
Yeah.
yourself,
I
Captain.
know there's been a push from law enforcement agencies and probably from school districts and everything else when they get these, especially the voluminous requests for all of this information. And please understand, I'm not accusing you of this. I know in other instances have been done just to be disruptive by other people, not with our agency, but with other places. And again, it's a drain on resources, whether it's personnel, materials, what have you, and it may require a lot of research and dedicating personnel to do something that takes them like away from their jobs. So there's been a discussion of trying to get some type of compensation for that, but right now you can't charge for that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and the thing is honestly, I guess in my personal opinion, is if people in the department get spoken to, primarily I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it, the
Sure.
chief and Mia, if they get spoken to about, hey, this is what these people's rights are, not just myself, everybody, and for anybody who wants these records because they're public, If they're given along the way, then it wouldn't be such a quote-unquote research project. Which I feel as though is perfectly fine in my opinion to say, because it was chalked off as, oh, well, it's a research project. Well, if it wasn't denied along the way, or when I've called up and just said, hey, I'd like this date pulled, a 1 or 2 date range, and I've been denied many, many, many times in the last almost 4 years, well, then it does accumulate to be maybe a much larger project, which I do understand takes from their other job duties, but if they were complying and following the law along the way, then it wouldn't do that. And I'm saying that for everybody that wants these records.
Yeah, I'm not contemplating with a choice of words. I wouldn't call it a research project. It's a duty to the public to answer these requests.
Yes.
And that should be addressed as such.
Yes, well, I appreciate that.
We will get you this information as soon as possible. Whatever the case is, and understand we're busy or whatever the case is, but it should be a positive interaction.
Yes.
I mean, we pride ourselves, I know the commission, in having a department that is responsive to our community, that is approachable. 99% of the time, I think we get it right, but we don't want that 1% that's unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're only 1%, it could be a bigger number, I don't have the numbers. But we want everybody to be happy. We want to make sure that we're meeting everybody's, that's like we were talking about, people being upset because there's not an adequate police presence downtown this summer. Well, it's not that we don't want one. It's that when your numbers are down, calls are up, resources are going in every direction. And if we could just hire all the police officers that we need, that'd be great. But then the budget committee's head would explode. So we don't want to, and rightfully so. I wouldn't want my tax bill to go up exponentially either. But we're a growing town. There's a lot going on. These are not excuses. These are just facts. But in your regard, attentiveness is very, very important. And to see it through, we'll see that that's done.
I appreciate it.
I think you understand that we appreciate you coming in
Absolutely.
today. And that on the other side, a lot more time was granted than would ordinarily be done. But we want to hear from the community, not just individuals who are upset, but positive things and
Yeah,
whatnot. So we're open to doing that now on a much
Absolutely.
more regular basis.
Yes.
So we thank you.
Yeah, well, it was Luke last night, the liaison. We went to the town meeting.
Oh, Luke, yeah.
Yeah.
And Luke seemed really nice.
Good.
He had given Sean's information, and he said that he would recommend coming here, so that's what we did.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
But
that.
Luke didn't show up.
I know, he said he was going to, and I see
No.
there was no
You
Luke.
can talk to him.
He's a busy man. He is a busy man.
I assumed so.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Should I identify myself, or?
You can, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
my name is Mike Kelly, I'm obviously, Kate's husband.
Okay.
Just 2 quick things.
Sure.
Commissioner Wood, I just wanted to make the point clear that there was like my wife had said, without going into the details, there was a couple of instances where she needed this information to be able to take it to the court, where some of the instances, I'm sure Mark's familiar with, didn't rise according to the department to the criminal level. She still wanted this information to be able to take it to the court civilly and see what relief she could get from
She's okay.
sorry. See what relief she could get through the court, and where it was denied, she felt, maybe for lack of a better term, like almost suffocated in her options of being able to seek relief with the matter that she was dealing with. And just the other thing I wanted to be able to bring up to the commission, is it possible to be able to post this information on maybe the front of the police department's door in regards to 91A requests? And if there's anybody that's dissatisfied or has a grievance, just like an outline for, I guess, the rest of the citizens of Wolfeboro, if they have any issues with dealing with getting this information, where it can be more streamlined and they can get what they need quicker than having to wait 2 months. Is that something we?
I mean, go ahead,
So
Mark.
we are working on that, and we're gonna get something out on our website, which has the criteria and everything down. So we are working on it. And,
Yeah.
we're in the process.
It's an accommodation.
Yeah.
I
We
think
are
in
working
in most cases, any other 91A requests that I've been familiar with that have come down the pike, and some of them aren't that big of a requirement, others are. It's been a timely process for some of them, but things always seem to be moving forward. So this is a little bit troublesome to me in that things haven't been in a progressive state. And we want that to change. So we'll definitely look into this and make sure that as far as the, getting the case, you know, I understand when you have something that may not rise to the level of a criminal charge, you do have some relief sometimes at the county level for a civil matter to be handled that way. And it is, I think, important to be able to have whatever resources can be provided to you so that you can do it in that manner.
Yes.
You know, so.
Yeah, so it sounds like, I hope that now you're gonna have everything you requested after you receive this package. So review that, and if you don't think that's the case, just you can come back to the next meeting, or let one of us know, and certainly let us know if that's not the case.
Right.
It sounds like,
Yeah, I think there's just some audio that we have to get you
Okay,
from the 2018 one, not the
Okay.
one that you just requested.
Yes.
We do have that.
okay. Fair
The,
enough.
you made a mention earlier about contact information for the commissioners. The process has been, I will tell you, back years ago when I was on the commission in the 90s, our home phone numbers are listed in the phone book. And it was, I mean, I was elected to do a job for the people, so I would take the phone calls. My wife wasn't a fan of it, but now landlines have all gone away. We all have our own personal cell phones. So if the town at some point decides to purchase cell phones or a cell phone plan for elected officials, then we would by all means give out our cell phone numbers. But our cell phone numbers under department policy, our personal cell numbers are not given out to the general public, but we do get notified by dispatch if somebody comes in and wants a phone call. Then typically, and the reason I didn't call back is because I'm waiting to get back into town to get on a department phone to call you about department business rather than on my own personal cell, that's all. But I did at one point manage to get a hold of Chief Rondo during that week, and I think he had spoken to you. I don't know if he told you I was on vacation or not, but.
I did not get that message.
Okay, well, I apologize.
No, it's, I appreciate the apology, but obviously you did what you could.
I appreciate the clarification as far as the cell phone, because I know, one of the areas we live, all the commissioners.
Now we can hear. Thank you.
All of the commissioners' information, like you said, the cell phone was posted online, and that does offer some clarification. Possibly they have, work cell phones that are provided to them where it's a bigger city with a bigger budget.
Well, I know the police office, police staff has phones. We're not important enough, I guess, I don't know. I mean, it's never really been an issue,
Yeah.
but as of late, there's been some people have been looking to get a hold of us, and so they have to wait for somebody to make a call to us so we can make arrangements to call that person back, and okay? And piggybacking what Commissioner O'Brien said, we do appreciate the feedback, whether it's positive or negative, because we want to know how we're doing as a department. And, whether it's good or bad, because we can only fix things if we know they're not working. And if we always got approval, then that's when you become lax.
Yeah.
Maybe don't try as hard. So we want to be professional and reachable, and want to follow through. So
Thank you very much.
thank you all very
much.
much.
Your time with us, and I appreciate that.
No, there was nobody else here, and I had no problem going over the 5 minutes. I think it was a meaningful discussion.
Thank you.
Good information. Thank you.
I guess.
Okay, so we do not have anything for non-public. Commissioner O'Brien, did you have any other business?
Nope, I do not.
Commissioner
I do
Cool?
not.
Commissioner, no? Sherry? No. Captain Living? Okay. Then at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second it.
I will take
Aye.
a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.